In this final video, talking about latitude and longitude, I wanted to review a few things, talk about a few nuances, and then expand on the concept of longitude. So, if you'll recall, in the earlier video, one of the things we talked about is the axis of the Earth, and the axis is an imaginary line that goes from one side to the other and generates a line around which the Earth appears to rotate. And the axis pierces the Earth's surface at the two poles. A point equidistant from the North Pole and equidistant from the South Pole is called the equator, if you draw it all the way around. Another term we talked about was arbitrary, which is just a personal decision on picking something. It's not based on any reason or rhyme, it's just what somebody picks. And then an error I made in an earlier video is I was talking about counting the bones in the hand, when I really meant counting the bones in the fingers. If you look at the finger, there's 3 bones in each finger. And so in a 12-base counting system, you count the bones in the fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, with the tips of your thumb on that side. So there are 12 bones, 3 in each of the 4 fingers. And then when you count 12, that's 1 cycle, you count on your left hand. Then when you count them again, that's 2. And when you count through 5 cycles of 12, that's 60. And a lot of time in astronomy and geometry is based on multiples of 12, 60, and 360. And we talked about that longitude, the Earth has been cut into 360 segments around, and latitude similarly. One of the points I wanted to make was that if you take an orange and you stick a skewer in it from the stem side to the blossom side of an orange, it mimics the Earth, and the Earth rotating this way. And if you recall, the midpoint's the equator, lines that go from the pole down to the other pole are lines of longitude. And if you peel the outside of an orange off so that it shows the orange segments inside, the orange segments show you beautifully what lines of longitude look like. The lines of longitude are the individual segments that come down. And one of the points I want to make about latitude is latitude goes all the way around the Earth, all the way around. Lines of longitude only go from the pole through the equator to the other pole on one side. They don't go all the way around the Earth. They just go from the pole to the equator to the other pole and they stop. And that's a line of longitude. One of the nice things about an orange is it is a very excellent example of lines of longitude. And so if you think of the segments in an orange, these represent where the stem and the blossom end represent the 2 poles, just like they do when we're talking about the Earth, something along this line. The Earth rotates this way. Then the segments represents lines of longitude, and they mimic the lines of longitude in that they only go from one pole to the other pole. They don't go all the way around. And if you pull out, or if an orange happened to have 360 segments in it, it would be like the Earth. And let's just, for example, say this is 360 segments on this orange, and we pull one segment out, that would be 1 degree of longitude. And what I told you before is that between 1 degree, one line of longitude, or one column line, and the other column line at the equator is 69 miles across there. And degrees of longitude are divided into 60 units called minutes, just like an hour is divided into 60 units called minutes, and the 60 units of minutes are divided into seconds, so you have 60 seconds per minute. A 1 degree of longitude, and latitude for that matter, but it's in this demonstration we're talking about longitude, at the equator 69 miles. And so if you divide that into 60 minutes, then each minute would be 1 nautical mile across, which is 6,000 feet, slightly longer than 1 imperial mile. And then if you divided that into 60 seconds, each second would be 100 feet across. So that you can define longitude by the 360 segments and then break each segment down into 60 minute segments, and then break each minute down into 60-second segments. And that's based on the 12 count numbering system of counting the bones in the finger for 12, 60, and then 360.